Hey, good morning, everyone, or very, very possibly good afternoon. Hopefully, it's not the middle of the night for you. Hey, we're going to have an impossibly laid back day. Ooh, still allergic to everything. Even though today we're going to be doing something that I'm actually pretty rubbish at. You say, oh, but Jess, you've been rubbish at a lot of things you've taught us. I mean, that's true. But today we're going to learn about some CSS animation, I think. And I'm exceptionally, cheerfully rubbish about CSS animation. Like, I'm not great at it, but it's a tutorial environment. It can't hurt us. Nothing bad is. When I say nothing bad is going to happen today, that's a promise a bit outside of my range. We need to take a deep breath. Whew, and come pretty much all the way to the bottom of the page. Oh, so we're doing transforms. That's sort of pre-animation, isn't it? We'll do proper fancy animation tomorrow. But look how great this is. This says transform instead of animation. But this feels like animation to me, doesn't it? Right? So we are going to make this absolutely irresponsibly cute penguin, which I'm really excited about. And I was going to say, those of you who are my age, you know how your back hurts all the time for no reason? No. Those of you who are a little bit old, some of this animation stuff might feel a little bit like Flash way back in the day. And it does feel like bringing back a little bit of those sort of web animations. Oh, hello, good morning. Oh gosh, Carlos points out that it's Valentine's Day. Oh, happy Valentine. Oh, I hope all of you have the quietest, chillest Valentine's Day, that it is all about being loved, hopefully by yourselves. Doc type, HTML. Wait, I need that space there, don't I? We're going to go super, super fast, aren't we? You know what? Maybe let's not skip this. We're responsible. Y'all see me out here just like, well, we've done this a million times. Do we need to do it again? And that's a lot of what web development is about, isn't it? So oftentimes your IDE, your text editor will do this for you. But in this case, it's saying, cool, let's just get into the habit. Let's build this muscle memory. Of doing it right every time. Oof. And as somebody who is not great at consistency my own self, oh gosh, what was the other? Was it viewport? What was the? Somebody remind me of the other meta tag we put in here, where I'm like, oh, we've got to build the muscle memory. Also, I've completely forgotten everything over the weekend. So if I can entreat one of you to remind me. Title. While I'm doing that, I'll do the title, because you all have much better memories than I do. Link to this style sheet as well. Okay. Y'all see what kind of state I'm in. And then we'll link with it. Ref is styles.css. And this meta tag up here, was it viewport? It's viewport. What's the format? Yeah, viewport content. Thank you. That's rough. You are absolutely after my own heart. Did you hear me like start to tap, be like, can I look for Envia? You are such a sweetie pie. Sorry, that's a bit overly familiar, isn't it? I appreciate your help. Viewport content. And here, because I always forget, the content is equal to the width is equal to the device width. So I'm like, okay, when I set the viewport, how big I want this to look. Oh, And then I also want the initial scale. It's going to be set equal to what? We can say, wait, that's wrong. 1 point. And the only thing that was wrong there, Atraf, everything you gave me was absolutely right. The only thing that was wrong there is I was trying to add extra quotation marks. A hint, viewport. All right, I've clearly typoed something. And that seems very much like something I could do. So let's try that again. Oh, my title should have some text. Oh, a penguin. My link element is within my head element. Oh, you want me to do a fake closing. Rel attribute. All right, we want to say rel instead of type. I can do that. Yes, I hear you. But we still want to have a type. And that is text CSS. And you hear me sort of sighing and huffing and puffing, but this is the joy of error messages. My link element is obviously within my head element. I don't know what you need. Y'all, am I losing my mind? That's a question that you really don't have an answer to, is it? Because like head. Oh. Here we've got kind of a buggy error message. So here it's saying I'm reading from the top down and I expect to see certain things in certain order. I didn't put in. Y'all love how when you all help me with something, I'm like, oh, we. And when I mess something up, I'm like, oh, we. I forgot to put in the opening and closing HTML element was our root element, which is very basic. I bet that's not the issue. Our link element should be within our head element. HTML. Head. Y'all, am I losing my mind? I should delete that in the link. Do we think? Where's my? So it's not here in the link anymore. Oh. Maybe it wants it at the end. It's gonna be a very Monday. So even though you don't strictly need it, it looks like you want that trailing slash to be able to pass these tests. Maybe raise an issue later. Cool. So we're going right in. We're going to say the body elements, the body selector. that. And we're going to set the background. To a linear gradient. Does anybody remember how to do this? Oh gosh. Hang on, let me find. Linear gradient CSS from MDN, shall we? And I'm going to drop this into the link as well. I'm not just looking at something and being mean. So the linear gradient is a function. And those of you who are taking the JavaScript, don't worry if you're not taking the JavaScript course. You never have to if you don't want to. Although Ramon's a much nicer teacher than I am, I recommend it. So the linear gradient is a function. Oh gosh, wow, that's a really good question. Web dev folks, how's your learning process? Oh, I love this question. How are you all finding the course? I'll avert my eyes for any deservingly critical instructor feedback. But yeah, how are you all planning, or how are you all dealing with your learning is a really fun question here. So here we're going to do a linear gradient. And a linear gradient is a CSS function. And a function in CSS means that we're going to go ahead and set it to, hey, we're using the linear gradient function. And then we're going to set the values we need inside these smooth braces. We've got this. This is super chill. Have we already done linear gradients anywhere else in this course? I don't remember that. Yeah, I don't remember having done linear gradients yet. So we need to set it 45. All right, so we want 45 degrees. You did? Okay, it's not just me losing it's not just me losing my reasonableness. And then here we want to set it to 2 different color values. And it looks like you say, "Oh, Jess, are these" oh, that's a question. "Are these also functions?" Hmm, like, well, could be. They look just like functions. And really what they're doing is they're oh, oh, how reassuring and marvelous. So we're at a 45-degree angle of running these colors. We've got a really, really soft, bright sky blue to this very, very sunny yellow. This is fine. We feel all right about this? Oh, we did it in building a skyline. Y'all have so much better memories than me. I was like, look, we've done this sometime in some way. So we're going to remove the body element's margin and pad. And I really like this because it doesn't quite tell us what to do. What do you think we're going to do to remove the margin and padding? I think we're going to set them to 0. Yeah? We feel all right with that? Yeah. We've got that little green one. We're fine. A fantastic reminder that the bootcamp is run by the instructors and with Class Central, and we will never, ever, ever ask you for money. If anybody who sounds like me asks you for money, it's not me. But the Free Code Camp is a nonprofit, the people who make the curriculum, and they're separate folks. So if you've got the money, like don't spend money you don't have. But if you've got the money, it's a really nice thing to do to donate. Yeah. So we're going to normalize our page by setting the width to 100%. And then ooh. So what is the difference between setting the width to 100% and setting the height to 100 V8? And this is a little bit of a trick question because I think they're doing the same thing, aren't they? I say, oh, for the width, take it as far as you can in this viewport. I say, cool. And for the height, go ahead and, take it as high as you can in this viewport. So 2 different units of measurement, but they get us to the same place, don't I? Ooh. Oh, gosh. What is it that removes the scrolling? Genuinely, I'm asking for help here. This is not a performative pretending to forget. Was it an overflow thing? Was it overflow? Overflow hidden? This is very likely wrong. But that's one of the most exciting things. Well, there are no viewports. It's one of the most exciting things about web development. No. Oh, an overflow of clip. Okay. I can't remember having used clip before in this class. I thought it was overflow hidden as well. But here, the error message is just like, I know what you want. It's fine. So even though we haven't seen this before, that's not going to hurt us. So divs. I'm so excited to be doing stuff I know that I'm just all over the place. Yes. Oh, ground. And here, remember that we said a class of ground. So we're using the class select. Yeah, that's spelled right. Everything's chill. And the width take up the full viewport. So let's say 100 VH. You'd say 100% as well. That'd feel about the same. And then the height is going to be 400 pixels. And pixels are the default value, but we're going to say pixels. The 100% view width, not view height. Y'all are as patient as you are gracious. Oh, we're going to do another linear gradient. And let's see if we remember that. So background And this is a little bit lower stakes because we could just scroll up if we need to see the code again. Linear gradient. And copying and looking stuff up is totally fine. 90 degrees. And copying from your past self is just good form. You trusted yourself enough to type that code. Trust yourself enough to use it as a reference. Let's see what this does. Oh, is that what we wanted? All right, that's what we wanted. We got another linear gradient going on. Everything's chill. So the ground element will be third in the... Oh, y'all remember Z indexes, right? They're like a stack of pancakes or a stack of books. And the lower the number is, the higher it goes in the stack. But here, the ground element... Oh, gosh, y'all don't have to like stuff. It's super chill. Only if you feel... I'm not going to tell you. Aside from asking you to relax as much as you can and asking you to do some web dev homework, I'm not going to ask y'all for a full thing. So we're going to have 3 different elements, and the ground element will be in the back. So we're going to go ahead and set the Z index. We're going to set that to 3. That feels all right. And the position to absolute. I always spell absolute wrong, so I'm going to be very lazy and just grab her. Everything's chill. Hey, we've got our little green stripe. Oh, yeah, it's penguin time. Penguin. We're going to make a div, and the class here is penguin. I'm really excited because this is going to be... I bet I'm going to be typing penguin a lot. And there are going to be a lot of opportunities to spell penguin wrong, isn't it? So we're targeting the penguin class, so it's a full stop. And we're going to set the width to... And so when we were looking at the background and we were looking at the ground, we were setting stuff to 100% of viewport. And here, we're going to go ahead and say, well, you know, this is a fixed little character. This is a fixed thing on our page. Let's keep this a little bit... Let's keep this an absolute measurement. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Something's going on here, huh? We're going to use margin to horizontally center. Ooh. Margin to horizontally center. What do we think that means? Margin to horizontally center. Center alignment. What do we think that's going to look like? I cannot remember for love or... Well, I mean, it's Valentine's Day. I imagine there's a lot of love going around. Do we think it might be margin autoland suggests? You know what, where it says... Well, let's check our code. Okay. You know what? That suggests it's absolutely right. It says we still have to do our margin top. The absolute, wahahaha. Margin top to 75 pixels. This is the real beauty of error messages. You can say, well, I'm not sure if this is right. Let me check my code and see whether or not it complains about this thing that I think... and this is not me trying to throw Leanne under the bus, but like, let me see if it's okay on this thing that I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, let's have a left mountain. Div, everything's chill. Class of left mountain. Everything is durably chill today. Except for my persistent inability to spell anything. I before A. A before I. We're going to take left mountain, and I'm going to copy and paste that because we've already seen my willingness to mistype most basic things. Center width, 300 pixels. Okay, so our mountain's about the same size as a penguin if we forget about scale. And their height, about the same height as a penguin as well. So we've got a reasonably deadly serious penguin that's coming in here, isn't it? And then we're going to set another linear gradient just to get used to getting those into our head as the background. Linear gradient. Oh, heck. It's those smooth braces, isn't it, for a function. To forget the word function is a very, very exciting thing to do first thing in the morning. And then we're going to end it here. Okay, so far we've got a bunch of gradient action going on, but I'm not feeling anything very mountainy or penguiny. Oh, is that position fixed? Oh, heck. Position to have it, keep it from taking up space in the page. Oh, I'm going to cheat. Position of absolute. Of course, you all are very good and you would never cheat. But these, I'm going to ask a philosophical question. Is it cheating to use the error messages? I would argue no, because I want to, but I'm very, very willing to take your good judgment here. So we're going to transform to skew the property by 0 degrees on the X. And yeah, we can do this. This is going to be super chill. Everything is mellow. Oh gosh, you don't have to be so lovely all the time, y'all. So I do not remember syntax for transform. So let me go ahead and grab transform, CSS, MDN. Yeah, and do you know what? I think a real programmer, y'all are real programmers, but folks in industry, so deadly serious programmers whose bosses are yelling at them right now, use error messages too. So there's a really, really exciting way, sort of philosophy of development called test-driven development, where you write a bunch of little tiny tests and you program as you go and check that those tests are being met. And that's using these error messages to sort of keep us moving along is a pretty chill way to do it. I've just dropped in the MDN for CSS transform. And we want CSS transform skew, isn't it? Is that the right syntax? Yeah, that feels all right. And then that's a function, isn't it? So we're going to add the values. 0 degrees. And that is a comma, isn't it? Someone continue to carry me because I refuse. Yeah, there's a comma between those values. Let's check our, that seems, because we've got these, I'm swapped the other way around. We've got these swoopy-doos, very technical term, swoopy-doos. Stack the level of the mountain element so that it remains directly behind the ground element. This seems like a z-index question, is it? Because we've talked about stacks of books, stacks of pancakes. I'm going to assume this is a z-index, and we could check the error if we wanted to. The index, is it 2? Oh, it's 2, because we put 3 for the ground, which is the most back one. Directly behind, yeah. Overlap the mountain and ground elements better. Give the mountain a margin top of 100 pixels and ground a margin top of 58 pixels. I can do that. Margin top of 100 pixels. And then minus 58. Let's come and get that. Y'all love how when we do these, I do the easy ones with you. And then I'm like, well, have a good morning. Here's all the hard ones for homework. You are so, so patient. Let me be mean to you. So we're going to make a div after the left mountain and call it back mountain. Okay. I expected a right mountain, but I respect this as well. Nope, nope, nope. We're not doing the exact same thing twice. I just mistyped the word mountain. So we are now. Yeah. But a lot yet. We're going to copy and paste this because I refuse to mistype the same word. Width, we're going to set you to 300 pixels. That's super chill. Height, we're going to set you to 300 pixels. And this is feeling a little bit like muscle memory, isn't it? We say, well, we've been doing the exact same things a couple times. Let's go ahead and get a little bit too confident, yeah? Gradient. This is the first time where I think, you know what? This is definitely going to pass. Everything's going to be fine. I was promised a penguin, and instead I'm seeing quite a bit of a very artistically arranged business. So the back mountain, we're going to prevent it from taking up space in the page. Like we just did this and we cheated. By looking at the tests, but what the test told us, use position absolute here. See, cheating can still help you learn. So we're going to stack the level of back mountain so that it's directly behind the left mountain. Do you think that might be Z index 1? I mean, it passes, so I guess it's right, but I'm seeing a whole bunch of swoopy blue things going on, so it's kind of hard to tell. Back mountain, rotate. Ooh, rotate. A rotate property, isn't it? Yeah, there's a rotate function. Let me grab you, rotate function. Everything's fine. Everything within the context of this teeny tiny specific tutorial today is fine. Yeah. Rotate, and at the functions, we've got these smooth braces. 45 degrees. Does that? All right, I've clearly done this wrong, haven't I? Rotate the back mountain element by 45 degrees clockwise. What do we think? What's wrong? While you all are lovingly telling me what's wrong, let me check the code. Transform. Oh, because like we were passing in a function, but we didn't have a sort of property to attach it to. We were setting the conditions for our trick, but we weren't telling our CSS puppy what trick we were going to do, which seems exceptionally cruel to a puppy. And now we've got a left of 110 pixels. And we're going to set a top of 225 pixels. We can do this. Everything continues to be fine. So we're going to make a sun. I do often talk about how much I like the beta curriculum because it does ask you to sort of develop this muscle memory of like, oh, here's this. And I also like the little bit of a stretch to say, well, you've never seen this before, but use the error messages and go and search for what it's going to take to do this. Sun width, 200 pixels, and the height of 200. Ooh, heck, 200 pixels. And we're just going to set the background color Nice and easy. We're not messing about with linear gradients. Ooh, had to catch myself with the spelling of color. Ooh. How are we feeling about this? This looks very much like a penguin and the ground and some mountains. Yeah? Like this feels right? It's not quite yet. So we've done this a couple times, but do you remember what it wants when it asks us to keep it from taking up space? Yeah, it generally wants position absolute. So, ooh, and then border radius. We haven't done this in ages. To make that a circle, is it 50%? Or does 50% make it a circle? Yes, but is it a circle? And you're like, Jess, that's the half circle. I said, yeah. But it's a half circle because it's behind. Oh, it's behind the mountains. We've got the one on the left, and then we've got the. Okay, so stuff's kind of starting to click now. Position the suns, the top and right corners. Position the sun in the top right corner of the screen such that 75 pixels of its top and right edges are off the screen. I'm going to cheat. Ooh, minus 75 pixels. These error messages are doing us some real good things in this one, isn't it? So top minus 75 pixels. Okay, so I want it to be up so high that the top 75 pixels are off the screen. Let's do right as well. And really, you're learning two different things from this practice. Is one, when you're not quite sure what's going on, these error messages, either here in your sandbox or in your IDE or in your text editor, can be hugely helpful. And also, your teacher's very lazy. So, inside our penguin, we have our penguin parts. Feeling a little bit morbid, isn't it? But let's go ahead and so we've got a penguin head and a penguin body. We can do this because we're programmers, we're lazy. Copy and paste penguin head because I will absolutely misspell penguin at some point and I refuse. And penguin body. That makes sense. The head comes before the body. If we're reading, yeah, because remember CSS reads it from both HTML and CSS read a document from the top down. So you're going to want to draw your head before you draw your body, eh? Yes. Check the stack level of the penguin element to make sure it appears in front of the ground. Ooh. So we've been doing this for a bit. I'm going to be cruel. I'm going to be monstrous. I'm going to get a coffee. What proper do we use when we talk about this stack of books, this stack of pancakes? I'm not just asking because I want a coffee, but we've done this a couple times, even within this lesson. What property, what index do we use in order to say where something sits within this? Heck, I was hoping to get more coffee. Leanne's like, no, I'm on this. It's the Z, and it absolutely is. And we want to put the penguin way up top, right? So we've already set, let's see if we remember, the ground was Z index 3. And we've got the Z index for the mountain set in 1 and 2. Maybe 1. Oh, the cool thing is, what can we do if we've completely forgotten our Z index? And this is fun. We'll do it in a second. Z index and the position. We know what's happening with position relative. So we could go ahead and do that. So if we don't remember our Z, we could set it to 0 and say, I remember doing 3. Maybe I had 1 and 2 as well. But I could always say -5 is going to be very, very low. Will that pass the test? Oh, Z index. Oh, you want it behind the. It's just the exact opposite of what I was suggesting, eh? So we're going to get our penguin head. I don't really like the sentence, target the penguin head. That sounds like I'm going to be throwing snowballs at the poor deer. The width to, half of its parent, which sounds hard, but 50%, it'll be all right. And then a height to 45%. And then a background, another linear gradient. Background is a linear gradient, which maybe I've spelled correctly. Starting at gray. So let's grab the NDN for position relative. Actually, Maria, can you save this question towards the end? This is really good, and I want to look at both of these next to each other. I'm so sorry to be so mean to you, so consistently mean to you. And what a great punishment for a good question to be like, oh no, that's actually a quite good question. You know what the problem is. We know what the problem is here. That everything by default in HTML are these rectangles. What? Quick hit. Well, that's literally exactly what I have. Oh, it's the 45 degrees that I've missed. Yeah. And everything's a rectangle by default. We just haven't unrectangle. Yeah, most penguins don't have a square head. Top radius and bottom radius. Okay. Wait, show me the syntax real fast. Border radius. Ooh, yeah. Border radius. Jess, are you cheating? Yes, I'm cheating. So we can see the answers down here, but okay, so the top corners, so up here, and then the bottom quarters for 65. And it's a little bit hard to see which is the top right and top left, but remember that it always goes clockwise, around like a clock. Oh, we've got our penguin head. We're going to go a little bit quickly through this because I want to start doing weird stuff to our penguin, which again sounds like I'm being cruel to a penguin. Width 53%. Height 45%. Background. Another one of these linear gradients. Because of the function. Wait, what? So the background to a linear gradient at 45 degrees. Okay, we'll start that. Huh. You know what? I have no idea what's going on here. Oh, gosh. We've done this, haven't we? I'm going back to the linear gradient again, because this was a kind of complicated. Yeah. We can do this. 45 degrees. And the way to add this, is it all? Yeah. So we'll put the percentage of where it is at the end. Oh, what have I? Jess. I've just copied and pasted penguin body in here again, which we probably don't need. Okay. Comma. Do we want to put 0% here as well? Let me grab the 45 degrees. So, and then a comma after that. And then all of our values in the same space. We don't need a comma after. Okay. Here we've got, we want to start get these values for the color from 25%. Another comma here. And white is the color we're using here, which is much, much easier, isn't it? And that's from 67%. I mean, this looks faintly penguiny. What I'm going to do is grab the linear gradient link again, just so we've got this. And the syntax we're looking at here is going to be the last one in the syntax box if you want to follow along. I think we could check our code. Oh, that worked. Of course, I expected it to work. But I didn't expect it to work the first time. Let's uncube our penguin. Let's border radius. And we're just going to copy it. I mean, it's not a cube, but it's not. Oh, Anshoff, you're such a sweetheart where you're like, Jess, I can see you struggling. Here's the code. You're unnecessarily gentle. All right, so position of absolute means we're just going to pin him down. Yeah. Say, ooh. Okay. Oh. You know what? It's going to make a lot more sense. So we've got the penguin. We want all of its children. Man, this sounds so morbid, isn't it? We're going to take all of the penguin's children. We're going to pin them down. We're just going to make sure they don't wander off anywhere. And we don't think that your head and body should occupy the same space. So I think we're probably gonna float this up a bit. Penguin head. Oh, so okay. Top. We think this is gonna work. 10%. Oh, that seems fine. And then left. Oh. Y'all. That makes it sound like I'm fussing at you. Penguin body top. I'm going to copy this 23.5 because it seems like something I lose track of. Top 40. There we go. It was left again, wasn't it? Okay. Yeah. Change the stack. Come on, my lovelies. What have we been talking about when we change the stack? We've been talking about that Z index. Does 0 do it? Oh, wait, what do we actually want? Penguin head appears in front of the penguin body. Does 2? Ooh, 2 does it. Does 1? 1 still does it. And I'm going to stick with 1 just because, I mean, there's no real reason. 2 would have worked. I think we already had a 2, though, so we probably don't want to. So, oh, heck, y'all are going to have to help me. We're going to create a pseudo class, and those were those dots, weren't they? So the first child of the penguin body element. So we've got a couple different options here because I'm kind of drawing a blank. I can check our code and get our error message. I can lovingly beg you all to help me, or I can look it up on MDN. And one thing I want to meditate on for just a second is, and really I've wanted an excuse to chat about, is how do we search? Because searching is one of the most important things we can do, really in in any kind of programming, I think. So here, the question really is, and I'm not necessarily going to search. I might cheat and look at the error message just in the interest of time. But if I was going to search for this, what kind of search terms would I want? What could I type where I'd feel a little bit confident that I would get the kind of things I wanted. Let's look at to give the penguin body a crest. I probably can't search give penguin body a crest. Like, that's very highly specific. That's a bit weird. Here, though, create a pseudo element. I think, and I'm just going to give you the search terms I might try here. I might try pseudo element CSS MDN. Oh gosh, sorry. Oh, restart step. Everything's fine. Oh, Carlos is like, look, I've got this. You're just going to talk to us about search terms forever if I don't bail you out. And the other thing I might want to search for is content property. I might also search for pseudo element children, pseudo element parents. But Carlos is just like Jess, and Ajraf as well. It's like, come on, stop. Penguin body. Okay, so we are targeting the penguin body. And we're setting a pseudo class or using a pseudo element, kind of conceptually the same vibe. And we've learned about using those when we talked about hover and all that. And those are those dots, aren't they? And first child. And this feels really powerful, doesn't it? Ajraf is suggesting penguin body before. Let's try one and then the other. Yeah. Oh, okay. So I think first child might work, but here it's rather narrowly asking us for. You'd be like, hey, you've got to set it to something. Oh, we're supposed to set the content. And for those of you in the JavaScript course, the idea of an empty string is going to be something that's come up again and again. And for those of you who aren't in the JavaScript course, that's probably wisdom. Can you imagine trying to do both at the same time? But an empty string is just these quotation marks. There's no space because that's not empty anymore, is it? That contains a space. Here, you're just sort of, the string leaves the conceptual space to do something later. Position the pseudo element relative. What? Position the pseudo element relative to its closest position. Position absolute. I thought it was being clever saying position to ancestor. All right, you just want me to make everything position absolute, and I respect that. Give the pseudo element width of half its parent. Y'all, and for those of you who are learning in your second or third or fourth language, my absolute respect, because I'm a native English speaker and this is still a little bit much for me. Width is 50% of its parent. Height is 45% of its parent. And a background color of gray. It vexes me that I don't like this at all. But it's correct. So, top 10%. Okay. And then left 25%. We're getting sort of that little crest. We're getting a little bip on her. Round it by giving a border radius of 100%. If I recall correctly, border radius, the top corners, the 0%. Oh, heck, are there commas in here? I feel like there's commas in here. And then 100% for the lower ones. No? I am using border. Wait, are there no commas? There's no commas. Everything continues to be fine. Ooh, we've learned about transparency. Ooh, have we? We've talked about transparency. Um, background color gray. I'm gonna grab the MDN both because that opacity, the opacity property. Yes, did you have to look up how to spell opacity? Never you mind. Opacity property is a separate because if we're doing RGBA for our colors, we could just swap this color to an RGBA, and that would let us set the opacity in there. But here, we're using opacity as a separate property, and that's super chill. Oh, oh, how delightful! How easy. Relatively easy. Let's check. Penguin body before an opacity. Yes. That's very cute. No, Leanne, you're absolutely right. I was like, increase the transparency by 30. I just saw transparency and 30%, where it's like, no, you have to do a tiny bit of math in your head. Start the penguin's face, which is a sentence I confess I've never had to say out loud before. And everything's temporarily broken just because I've got a div that's open but not closed. We're going to give them both a class of face. Which all of this feels a tiny bit morbid, doesn't it? Check our code. There's indeed a face. Everything's mellow. We're going to mess with both elements in our face. Oh, Carlos. If you saw that kind of fix would be such an easy. That would be such a quick win for a open source contribution. It's just a little tiny pull request to be like, oh, sorry, there's a misspelling. Please give me credit for it. I was so focused on, oh gosh, what's going on here? You can't make me do math. So that I didn't even see it. Width is 60%. Very chill. The height is 70%. And then a background color. And one thing that's a bit distressing is it looks like we're going to get through all of the easy bits. It's not a surprise, is it? It looks like we're going to get through most of the easy bits. And then, because I'm very mean and because the ravages of time touch even this class, we might have to abandon you just as this gets difficult. Look at me smiling. Where it's like, oh, I might not have to do the hard stuff on stream. Oh, we're doing this border radius again, which we've done a bunch of times. Top is 70%, 60 for the bottom, and 60 for the bottom. Yeah. Let's do a couple little more of these. And I am so sorry that I'm going to abandon. I'm not completely abandoning you. So remind me one more time, what can we do when we get stuck? You can, you could ask me as much good as that tends to do. You can experiment, say, oh, what happens if I try this? What happens if I do this? But, left. You can also come and ask in the forum or ask in the Discord, and we'd be really, really happy to unstick you. When I say we, I'll be in there, but you can also get help from your fellow learners who it's helpful for them to help reinforce the knowledge, but also they tend to be much smarter than I am. Oh, heck. So face left. I feel like that's the syntax. Let's check. Left 5%. That doesn't feel like, yeah. Oh, face dot left. That'll do it. So we've just seen the syntax, so we feel a little bit confident that, right? 5% of its parent. I mean, this claims to be doing it, but I'm not. Oh, heck. Oof. Absolutely terrifying. Oh, you need to give it a little chin. This is absolutely delightful. Yeah. Let's do 2 more, which is a very arbitrary thing to say. Let's do 2 more of these. 3, 4? Let's do about 4 more minutes on the steps, and then we'll go ahead and do question and answer because there was just an absolutely fantastic question, I believe from Maria, that I wanna go ahead and look at together in real time, and I'm really excited about. So we're gonna target the chin element, and we're gonna give it a width of 90%. And remember, this is 90% of the parent element. So it's not gonna take up all of the screen. Nothing too wacky is gonna happen. Wow. In a perfect. One of the exciting things about CSS is it's quite well, at least for me. I know for you all it's not. For me, it's pretty easy to get sort of all over the place. Right. Background ground? The fact that you all let me come and teach you is absolutely nonsense. I appreciate it, but the patience y'all display. So, top 25%. We've got this. Left 5%. And then border radius. I do like how much border radius practice we're getting here. So the top corners are 70. So 70%, 70%, 100%. And what this is really saying is, oh, you know what? Let's do mostly round at the top so it fits in with the rest of the, and then at the bottom, completely, pristinely circular. Ooh. What? And I refuse the cruelty, the monstrousness. What is this? Can anybody remind me what this is called where we use the dash dash? What is this? Here they say a custom CSS property. That's not technically correct, is it? What is it called when I use this dash dash thing? What is it called either in CSS or in JavaScript or in Python or, in Perl? Is that true? What is it called in a programming language when I create an empty box and give it a name and then put a value? Oh, Miss Salik, you are after my own heart. It's a variable. So with a variable, I'm going to make a box. I'm going to name the box. I'm going to put the value inside the box. And in CSS, what we do is we say dash dash. Leanne's got it as well. You're like, variable? Yeah. And we're going to set it to penguin face, which is terrifying. Oh, remind me, CSS variables, was it the smooth braces to put it inside? Actually. Oh, heck. Okay, so we're going to set this as a global variable. And this is really important because we talked about scope of variables. So if I put variable for the penguin face inside the sun, I wouldn't be able to access it from inside the penguin. Let me check CSS variables to make sure I'm doing this right. Oh, you know what? I am absolutely not doing this right. It's the smooth braces to use a variable to call it. And here's me being as wrong as the day is right. Okay, so smooth braces to call it, but yeah. You all are, Leanne, look at you with your patience where you're like, Jess, babe, stop. Everything is mostly okay. I mean, except for I've got a valuable lesson in not teaching first thing in the mornings. Y'all patient loves. Where relevant, ooh, replace property values with my penguin face variable. So, now what we're going to do is I'm going to copy this. And now I think we are going to use our smooth braces because I'm going to come and find penguin face. I'm going to look for where I see white. It just proves y'all are impossibly patient and good and smart and interesting and ha ha ha. All right, let me see if I got this right. So I've got penguin face. Yeah. Do I need to have something inside that? Oh, I'm doing it wrong again. Because we need to say, hey, I'm using a variable. Not a problem. Hey, I'm using a variable. And then we do have those smooth braces. But the variable name goes inside the smooth braces. Y'all. Jess, why did you decide to teach first thing in the morning? I was like, it fit my schedule better. Do we think that feels okay? You don't think so? Maybe? Let's check. And this way, if I'm wrong once, I'm just going to be wrong all over. Am I still white? Chin is still white. I'm going to leave penguin body alone. No way. That worked? I mean, yes, obviously, I'm a very, very deadly serious teacher, and obviously that's going to work. So coming into here, we've used our variables. We've got actually quite a bit to go, though. Let's look at how much. So we've got about halfway through. I mean, that's a lie. We obviously did step 38. We're about halfway through, and I'm going to cruelly, monstrously abandon you here. But I'm not completely abandoning you. You can go ahead and come into the chat, come into the forum if you get stuck. But I bet money you're going to go a lot faster on this on your own than you will with me. If you need help getting to the Discord, hop over to the forum. It'll send you a link to the Discord. Jess, why don't you just give us a link to the Discord here? Because if you pass out Discord links, it's super easy for them to get a bit spammy. And I'd rather put it behind the gate of the forum than have to consistently be chasing crypto spammers off it. I'm going to come. Oh gosh, here's a really good laid back session for question and answer. And this is our very last week together as well. So feel free to ask me anything about what we're learning now, anything about the past lessons, or just general tech stuff. And in the meantime, I'm going to be coming way up and getting this very, very good question from Maria. And Maria, you are such a sweetheart. Yeah. So, and Maria's asking, and Maria, I love this cute picture of you smiling as well. What absolute joy. She's, hey, position relative puts it all at the front, and position, let's look at the difference between position relative and position absolute. Yeah. So we talked a little bit, very, very briefly about search terms. And the search term I want to use here is MDN, because of course you might say, oh, I like W3 schools better. Oh, I want examples off of something like Stack Overflow. But for me, I'm a big DuckDuckGo fan personally because I am a privacy weirdo. And here, searching for MDM position absolute, that seems like a pretty fast way to get where I want to do. So this is going to give us position, and this is going to give us not just position absolute and relative, but it's going to give us some sort of examples. And this is what I really, really like about MDN. Also, their team's super nice, and but it's not just about niceness, isn't it? So let's look at relative. Ooh, so relative, just like Maria suggested, is like, hey, does that go ahead and put it relative to the top, and then absolute. Let's come down and let's look at the syntax and see if we can get some additional values. So relative is saying, hey, this element is going to be positioned in the normal flow of the document, but then it's going to offset relative to itself based on top, right, bottom, and left. And you say, Jess, what the hell? I said, cool. Jess, what the heck? It's cool. It's cool. Let's say this in a different way. So relative means, hey, you've got a normal flow of this document, and we're not going to change this. But from where it is right now in the normal flow of the document, move it only relative to itself. You don't have to move anything else according to these top or right or bottom. So here, I've got position relative, top 40 pixels, left 40 pixels. I'm saying, hey, move it off from the top, so down, move it off from the left, so right, by 40 pixels each. You don't need to involve anybody else in this, but relative to itself, let's move it out of the normal flow. Whereas absolute, yeah, let's look at what absolute means in a little more detail. Absolute's really cool. So absolute says, look, there's a normal document flow, and I want to exclude you from the normal document flow. I want you to be positioned relative to your closest position ancestor or the containing block. So you're no longer caring about the flow of the document. You're caring about being moved right, left, top, or bottom to your parent. And it creates a new stacking context. So it's going to go ahead and say, hey, position absolute, I don't care about the other things that are here. I don't care about the normal flow of the document. I care about where I'm setting. And oh, heck, I was feeling very, very confident. What's WebKit sticky? What? I'm going to come down and find WebKit. Oh, WebKit sticky is really saying we care about the normal flow of the document, but this is going to stick it. So that we're not doing any scrolling. Ooh, see the GitHub issue. Oh, I bet this is going to be super technical and a little bit miserable. Oh. And do we remember what issues are? So issues are super cool. Issues are when you see a little problem with something. And I really like these. So Carlos pointed out that he saw a typo earlier in the free code camp course. You could raise an issue and say, oh, hey, it's a typo. I think for a typo, I probably wouldn't raise an issue. I would just say, oh, here's a pull request fixing it. But an issue. And here's a really complicated, really exciting one saying, currently the position sticky element, and this is talking to the W3C. And those are the nice people who are the standards boards. They decide what goes into HTML and what goes into CSS and how it works. And here somebody said, hey, I have a problem with CSS. And don't we all? And here's somebody saying, I have a problem with CSS. It doesn't work the way I think it should. And here we've got a bunch of people who said, you know what? Yeah, here's a discussion about that. It's all very cool. So sometimes when you're like, oh, am I wrong? Or is this just not working the way I expect? You can come in and say, no, maybe CSS is wrong and I'm right. We've got a question from Reto saying, may I please? Such a lovely way. My lovely, I am in no position to offer you any penguins that are non-digital. You can have as many CSS penguins as you'd like, though. Please make yourself an entire fleet? I was about to say an entire fleet of penguins. All right, my lovelies, if there are no other questions, I might go ahead and let you go. I do want to highlight that this is the very last week of instruction for this bootcamp. It doesn't mean you have to be finished with your work. It doesn't mean you have to be finished with your projects. The videos will never, not never. So the videos are going to stay up on the Class Central YouTube. I'm going to still be in the forums. I'm going to still be in the Discord. There's no hurry. There's no, you must be finished in 6 weeks. Your homework for this evening. Oh, can I please explain the transform? It was very, very good time where I was like, your homework for this evening. Can we look at the transform property? Let's look at the documentation for the transform property, shall we? Hey, transform. It's going to let us, this is a very, very incorrect technical term, but it's going to let us wobble something. I forgot an element. I want to keep that element, but I want to rotate it, or I want to change the scale, or I want to skew it, or translate. That seems very new. And I think, woof. So stretch that babby out. We're going to change the scale. Ooh, so change the scale feels a little bit like skew, doesn't it? But we're going to rotate it. And really, the best way to understand transform is to play with it. So here's a built-in no code. We can play with this. The documentation's here. Only transformable elements can be transformed. Yeah, so there's a little warning there. But I think it's really, really valuable to take a look at the syntax, because I promise you, with every bit of my cold, dark heart, that I will forget all of the syntax every single day. But here, transform means I've got something I can stretch or wiggle or twist or rotate, and now I'm going to do that. Yeah. Oh, I love this. We've got some accessibility concerns and say, hey, zooming migrations, zooming animations can be a problem because they're a trigger for types of migraines. Huh. I was unaware of that, but this is really good to not necessarily overuse these. Yeah, so transform does a bunch of different things depending on what input we feed it. Let's come up to the different types of inputs. Rotate or scale or translate. But I like to think of it as, oh, I want to do weird, gentle witchcraft on this one specific thing. And that could mean to skew it or to stretch it or to rotate it. Yes, the transform property is just the ability to do a little tiny bit of magic. It's a very, very strange way to say it. Just a little tiny bit of magic and move this around as needed. I hope that's helpful. It's not very, is it? Where it's like, hey, it's your opportunity to do a small amount of magic, but it lets you rotate, scale, skew, or translate. Yeah, whoop, a little bit of twisting and wiggling and stretching and skewing. No more getting out of it. Let's talk homework. So it's your very, very last week with us. There's no hurry to get everything finished. But if you can, I'd love to encourage you to finish up your penguin. Let's come and get this penguin. And then I bet you know what the rest of your homework is. The rest of your homework is to have as chill a day as possible. So if you can, no hurry if you can, try and finish all 104 little lessons as part of the penguin. If you want to, you can just look ahead at the Ferris wheel. You say, oh, Jess, that one's only 29. Will it be much easier? No. But tomorrow we're going to learn about animation using a CSS. And the last thing we're going to look at together, the very last thing, is we're going to talk about a personal portfolio webpage. Obviously, all of the projects you're working on for this one are important. I might very gently and very lovingly suggest this one's the most important, because if you're going to be looking for work in technology, this is going to be something you're going to use as part of your job hunt. So having a portfolio page is something where you'll send it in an email to a company you're interested in, or you'll put it on top of, I know that the world is sort of globally split on this, so I'll say both. You'll put it on the top of your resume or CV to say, oh, here's who I am. Here's the kind of stuff I do. So having a really solid personal portfolio webpage is a really, really nice way to do that. Yeah. Maria's saying tomorrow when we look at the animations, can we skip the basic parts and look at the, we'll go way fast through it. I would be surprised if we didn't finish all of the animations together. I promise I won't abandon you for the hard stuff, even though I usually do. So, your homework is to start thinking about your personal portfolio webpage just a little bit. Just, oh, you know what? What do I want to say about myself? What do I want to show off about myself when I talk to potential coworkers or potential employers? Yeah. So, please finish the penguin if you can. No hurry if you can't. And I bet money you can guess your other homework. Yeah. Is to please have the easiest possible day that you can. So if it's morning, you are stuck having to be gentle to yourself all day. If it's the afternoon, you get a half day of being cool to yourself. If it's the evening, obviously you're not off the hook. You have to be lovely to yourself, as gentle to yourself as you can all day tomorrow. Yeah, like the world's big and scary and weird these days. The very least you can do is not give yourself a harder time. I'm going to let you all go. And thank you so much for joining me. I desperately appreciate you all watching me bumble. I'll chat to you all tomorrow. Bye, my loves.